Brisbane-based Olivia Hutchinson is a senior project engineer at Boeing and has a passion for empowering women to grow within engineering. I'm Mackenzi Oliver, and on this episode of Ready STEM Go, I'm talking about focusing on your trajectory and not your destination with Olivia Hutchinson. Welcome, Olivia.
Hi, Mackenzie. Thanks so much for having me today.
No, we're privileged to have you. Olivia has completed her mechanical engineering degree at QUT in 2016. And throughout her time at QUT, she maintained a strong personal involvement with QUT GEMS. So that's the Girls in Engineering Making Statements. And she also encouraged many other students to get involved too. Her support for female engineering students has really inspired a new generation by organizing epic industry nights and mentoring programs. And then Olivia began her career at Boeing as a graduate engineer and has made a number of lateral moves across business units before landing in her current role as senior project engineer. Her past projects include working as systems support engineer on the Hawkeye project and as a systems engineer working on upgrades to the Wedgetail fleet. So I'm so keen to hear more about her career trajectory success. But before we get into that, Olivia, do you have an epic, inspiring, or crazy STEM story for us?
I definitely do. Yeah, so I've got a really exciting one that's happening in Boeing Australia right now. Currently, Boeing Australia is developing the Loyal Wingman, which is an unmanned UAV, so an unmanned aerial vehicle, which uses artificial intelligence to support both unmanned and manned aircraft in mid-flight. So what's really exciting about this is it's the first military aircraft to be developed, engineered, and manufactured in Australia in at least 50 years. And recently, it performed its first high-speed taxi test, which is really exciting.
Completely unmanned.
Yep,
Whoa, that is, yeah, the future is here.
yeah, that's it. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, let's hear more about your career at Boeing. So yeah,
Yeah,
starting off at QUT and getting into Boeing. How did you kind of find your way into the company?
yeah, great question. So we'll start probably with my time at uni, where I'd come into engineering because I really loved maths and science and the actual practical application of that. And I'd heard about engineering. I'd gone to an engineering camp where during school where you get a feel for what it is. But still, when I arrived at uni, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I really threw myself into trying to find out more about this industry. So I went to a bunch of networking events, different career nights, sought out mentors, and just asked a lot of also older students their experiences in different industries and with different degrees. And it was through this that I came to decide of doing mechanical engineering because of the different opportunities it offered in multiple industries, and then sought out a bunch of different internships in different areas, in different roles to get a real feel for what I liked. And it was then at one of the networking nights that I'd went to that I met a Boeing engineer. I'd kind of run over almost. I was so excited to hear someone from Boeing was there because in grade 12 I'd worked on a lift project with an airfoil and loved the concept of planes and the theories behind it and thought, how cool would that be to work on? So I very quickly ran over, introduced myself, and had a really great discussion about what he does, more finding out more about the industry, in particular here in Brisbane, what they do. And through that, I gained a really great mentor in that Boeing engineer, who I kept touching base with and having great discussions with throughout my degree. And when I was looking to apply for different internships, I reached out and said, do you know of any opportunities available? Because, I've heard about the great stuff that you've been working on, and what the companies do. So yeah, are there any opportunities? And then I think it was a few months later, or even a few weeks later, he got back to me with an opportunity opening at Institute Pacific, which is a Boeing subsidiary in the Brisbane area that work in the UAV space. And through there, I started off not so much in a pure engineering role. I was an ops assistant helping out, so learning about all the different things you have to be aware of when flying them commercially, and supporting the different tasks they would do. And then I also joined the engineering team part-time. And so that gave me a really good feel for the aerospace industry in Australia. And then through there, when I was looking to go for a grad role, I was really interested in, again, trying to work out exactly what I wanted to do. So I went for a larger company so that I could have different opportunities to try different roles on different projects. And that's when I reached out again to the Boeing mentor to go see what the Boeing Defence Australia grad program was like, given that they were quite, and they are quite a large company with a lot of different opportunities in different spaces. And it was through that then, yeah, I organised a meeting with someone in Boeing Defence Australia, found out more, applied, and then got accepted.
Yeah, well, that is a very exciting little wiggly path into Boeing
That's it.
there. And you mentioned before, like, yeah, your interest in working for perhaps a bigger company was to be able to explore different opportunities and I guess, yeah, see where you really want to, yeah,
Definitely.
work into. In the bio before, it did sound like you had a few different roles already. So how do you find, I guess, are these different opportunities popping up for you? What's kind of the process of jumping between?
Yeah, great question. So to touch on, yes, I guess for those listening was, again, even when I after doing 4 years and trying few different industries, I still wasn't 100% settled on the exact type of engineering I wanted to do and the exact type of projects. So that's why I was looking for a larger company that had those opportunities to help me really define what it was I really loved to do in this space. And so got the opportunity, yes, to start at Boeing in a system support engineering role, which is in the kind of reliability side of engineering. And then stayed there for about a year or so, and then was ready to try something a little different. And so, to get back to your question as to how to do that, I reached out to some of the networks I developed in the company. So when I joined, I made sure to keep doing what I was doing at uni, essentially, and asking around, finding out what different people do, and building that kind of connection and understanding about, there are so many aspects to this company, and so many roles. Let's find out a bit more about each of them. And it was through that I reached out to a manager in a role and said, I think I'm interested in this system engineering space. Are there any opportunities available? And then that's how I moved into that next role, and how I continued to move into different types of tasks that I was working on was I'd hear about something, think, oh, that kind of feels like something I'd like to do. Reach out and talk to someone in a position who could then, if they needed to talk to someone else, or if they could then get me into that role. And it was also a bit of positioning of myself as well, building the skills. So when I was on that first project, I was fortunate enough to get on some training for system engineering to understand what it is. And through there, that really helped me get into that next role.
So yeah, you touched a bit on it before there, but do you want to shine a light a bit more on what is a systems engineer?
Yeah, great question. So, because at uni I had no idea. I think we touched on it once in one subject back in first year, but because I'd gone down a pure mechanical path, it hadn't really bubbled up again. But what you find is, or what I found is, when going into a company like Boeing, where we work on complex systems, that's a really key type of engineering that occurs. It also occurs in other industries, such as rail, for example, where they have complex systems they need to manage. So, system engineering is really an interdisciplinary approach to how to manage complex systems, and making sure that you take the needs at the start that your customer has and then produce a product that is meeting those needs at the end. So I'll take you through a bit about the life cycle that we manage and go through. So we start with those initial customer needs, break them into requirements, and then from there we break them down into doable chunks of work. So different design teams can then go away and work on building the different components needed to meet those needs. And then the whole time, making sure that these separate groups are going to interact as required when put together. Okay, so once we've got those designs, how do we then integrate that and verify, so test that when we click those components together, they are meeting the needs of our customer? So it's managing that whole life cycle, taking technical needs as well as, and any other needs of the customer in, and making sure we deliver a product that's going to suit.
So it sounds like you definitely need a pretty strong background in understanding all those technical skills. But I guess probably quite a strong management position if you're splitting up that project that you said. And was it passing off those different components to different teams
Yeah,
so that they come
potentially.
back
So you'll
together?
have, so you'll have different, and it does depend on the project as to how it's managed, how big it is. I'm talking in general how you kind of manage a general system. But yeah, definitely you have a whole range of different engineers and skill sets involved in the different aspects of that work. So some requirements gurus up front, and then we have this thing, system architects, to work out how this is all pieces together and works together. And then when you're designing, say, different components of that, then you need maybe mechanical, structural, or electrical engineers to work out those kind of core parts. And then when you've got, the base product and you're bringing it together, you've got your verification and test engineers who are making sure that when it all fits and you run a test, that it's working as required and meeting those needs back that you determined at the start.
And that's your position currently at Boeing as well?
So I worked in the system engineering space, which can take you can be involved in so many different roles. And now I sit as a project engineer where I'm managing, if we're doing some modifications or some upgrades, I'm managing what is needed and taking it through that life cycle until we finally do the implementation and rollout of that change.
Very cool. And you did touch on some of the people that you're getting involved in working with there. What does your team look like on a day-to-day? Who are you working with most
Oh,
closely?
day to day, great question. So it does change, especially with my new role, it's changed a bit. I work very closely as a senior project engineer with a project manager. So I manage more the technical side and making sure from our different technical reviews we have to get through that we're meeting those different requirements essentially, and then speaking quite heavily to different engineers who might be working on the different tasks. And the project manager works on the finance side and the contracts, so making sure our stakeholders are all aware of what's happening. That might be suppliers as well if they're involved. And I do get to support some of those, but yeah, I'm very focused on the technical execution or technical planning and then execution. And that involves the scheduling side as well. So my project manager is pretty key. So we're a very close team. And then we work with, to get it happening, I guess if we're at the early stage, we'll work with the finance team, the contracts team, engineers, system engineers who are at that starting place helping with requirements, and any other pieces there. And then, as you get further along, it could be people, subject matter experts for certain things, could be specialty engineers such as, gurus in safety or certification. So a whole range of people. Yeah, it's really great, and that's what I love about it. I really enjoy communicating with different people and understanding what they're doing and bringing that to that larger picture to help us get to a final product. So yeah, it's a role that's taken me a while to find, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, that real like extensive list of people that are getting involved in some of those projects at Boeing. It
Yeah.
definitely makes sense as to why you'd still be asking, oh, so what's that person doing? What are they up to over there? It like makes sense you'd want to keep looking around and seeing where you could go.
Yeah, definitely, because that's it. There are so many, when we're talking about, an aircraft, that is not a simple system. So you've got
No.
so many, so many people with so many specialty areas who make it happen, whatever they're working on to get there. That yeah, it's great to see so many opportunities and roles that and still in this role, and I still love to find out about what they do in their specific roles, and in the future, is that something I'm interested in as well? Or I see a different project over there, hearing about the cool kind of tech stuff on that. Oh, is that something in the future? That's an area I could go into.
You can just keep asking yourself, oh, what do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah, and I think that's something great for uni students to know in particular. When I was a uni student, that scared me a fair bit. It was like, oh, if I pick something like right now, is that it for the next 40 years or so? And so it was great to come into a company and realize, no, there are so many, it's continual learning, really, so many different opportunities out there. As long as you have that kind of drive and passion to keep learning and wanting new challenges and trying different things, then you can definitely go for those, varied roles.
Very cool. That's a really cool insight as well as to yeah, perhaps joining into a company instead of, I guess, if you're looking for more opportunities, looking to move on, you can always still look around you as well.
Definitely, definitely, and I think that's something great to know because I did see a number of friends who jumped through to different companies, and yeah, I have stayed with the same company since my grad program, and that's because, as you've said, there are so many great opportunities. And another thing that's been really great is being able to have open conversations when I feel like I've kind of grown in that role to a point where I'm feeling comfortable and want my next challenge, or if I hear about something, say like systems engineering, and I wanted to try it and understand if I did really enjoy that role. And so it was then, yeah, touching base with managers or my networks and making those my feelings around where I wanted to go known, um, and move internally rather than having to look outside for those opportunities. Yeah, that's been really helpful. I think just having that open communication, being, I really like what I'm doing, but I want that next challenge. I've heard about this. It looks really cool. I can see myself in the future going into this type of role. So I want to get into it now to learn more about it and build that skill set.
Yeah, and like you said, how powerful it is to be able to speak about where you want to go and feelings that you might be in a certain role, because I guess your supervisors and like mentors and things might be a lot of things, but I'm guessing they're not mind readers. So yeah, being able to
Exactly.
talk probably helps.
I must say, yeah, one of the first managers I went to about, she said, "Thank you so much for for coming to me and having this chat, and because now we can help work out where you want to go, and I can get you on different training to support with that." Whereas if you don't tell them, it's very hard for them to be able to help you grow and develop as well. And Boeing has been great with, we have a lot of different training opportunities, and um, to find out about those different areas, or if you wanted to go to a certain conference, and yeah, having that support to go do that to learn more is really great.
No, that is really cool. So we're nearly at the end of our interview now. But before I let you go, I'd like to ask you, Olivia, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Great question. Mine is to network, honestly, to
Yeah.
network and to get yourself a mentor. So I think we've touched on it quite strongly throughout our discussion here today. Those are the things that have really helped me grow and develop, and find out what's out there as well. Because it's hard really unless you have someone who you can go to and have a chat to and find out about it. Like Google, oh, there are so many options on there. Otherwise, you really need that face to face to understand what's it really like. So those would be the key ones. So uni students out there, go to different networking nights, career events. I know there are some great student groups out there who put on some really great events. So go get involved in those. There are some great industry partners who also do the same. So put your hand up, um, and get involved.
Yeah, like people are excited to connect with the students as well. And I feel like maybe
Definitely.
some people don't know that.
Yeah, definitely. Like for me, for instance, I still love to get out and try and go to those different career nights and have a chat about what I do and the different opportunities there. So you will see, and there are a lot of professionals in engineering who do the same. So take advantage of that.
No, very cool. So yes, again, thank you so much for joining us today, Olivia. It's been
Definitely.
awesome to hear how you can, yeah, progress throughout your career in perhaps a way that people might not have been recognizing before.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for having me today.
No, so that is all for today's episode of Ready STEM Go. And to our listeners, make sure that you subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode, and join in on our Facebook page. QUT STEM is for me, to keep up to date with events and resources that you can access.